Welcome to another episode of Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here at the News Forum where all voices matter. Canadians' relationship with the online world is about to change considerably as a result of two Liberal government initiatives, and none of it for the better. Here to discuss is Senator Leo Housakos. He's a senator from Quebec and Deputy Opposition Whip. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on, Mr. Clement.
So I guess the first question, maybe just let our audience know, we talk a lot about Bill C-11, for example. And I believe that has passed all stages in Parliament now. So what is the bill and what does it intend to do?
Look, the government will argue that Bill C-11 is attempting to bring into line traditional broadcasters with the internet and new digital platforms. Of course, the reality of the matter is that digital platforms are not broadcasters. And what I believe, and many in this country believe, is that this government is attempting to control and try to influence the internet using the argument that they're trying to align it with traditional broadcasting. But their goal is to make sure that they dominate what we post, what we see on the internet, because it's the Trudeau calling card. They don't like to see things that criticize their government.
So is this going to involve sort of non-traditional broadcasters, podcasters, YouTubers? Is the breadth of the legislation part of the issue?
Well, the biggest issue is user-generated content and digital-first creators in this country. What digital platforms have done is given Canadians and the world unique opportunities to promote what we do as what we're in all forms, journalism, poetry, documentaries, music, you name it. It has opened up new horizons and unfettered horizons to eliminate traditional gatekeepers from determining what is good enough and what isn't good enough to be disseminated. And also, when it comes to Canadian content, as we know, there's a very rigid definition in the Broadcasting Act and a very rigid definition by the government of what is Canadian content. And I'll give a simple example. Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale, written by an iconic Canadian writer, a show that has directors that are Canadians, actors that are Canadians, but yet for various reasons, some bureaucrats in Ottawa have determined it's not Canadian content.
Oh, really? So like the television program, I guess Sarah Polley's involved and so on, that's not considered Canadian enough.
Look, it's up to Heritage Canada, a bunch of bureaucrats in the CRTC, to determine the degree of enough Canadian content in order to post it. And that's our concern. The language in C-11 isn't clear when it comes to user-generated content. And at every turn at committee, in the House and in the Senate, when we try to tighten up that language and make it clear, crystal clear, that user-generated content will be carved out of C-11. The government keeps saying, they keep pushing back and rejecting the amendments and keep saying, trust us, believe us. There's no chance that user-generated content would be included. I don't know, Tony, but I believe that it's always better to have it in fine print in the contract instead of just the word of this Trudeau government.
Indeed, and I should make clear that you were one of the senators who led the charge to introduce amendments in the Senate chamber to kind of clean up this bill. But you're saying a lot of those amendments were rejected by the Liberals. Is that correct?
There were 27 amendments, which is historic, and it just highlights how badly broken this bill is. And these amendments came not just from opposition members, but many of Trudeau-appointed senators as well. Now, all the consequential, important amendments that deal with user-generated content, for example, they were rejected by the government.
And the Liberal position is that this isn't censorship. So how would you answer that contention?
Look, if you are giving the power to the CRTC and a bunch of government-appointed bureaucrats to determine what is Canadian content, to determine what outcomes that could be arrived at by using algorithms, and we had the chair of the CRTC who came before our committee during the study and concurred that C-11 gives the CRTC the power to force platforms to control algorithms in order to come out to a certain determined outcome. If that isn't censorship, I don't know what is.
What's been the reaction? You must have had a lot of committee hearings and whatnot. What's the public reaction to this?
The truth of the matter is, especially young people who have become so accustomed to these platforms and rely on them for information, the truth of the matter is, us older folks who are used to, getting our information from traditional broadcasters live in a particular world that has changed and evolved. So people under 45